All right, what's up, everybody? This is not an Insider Ties, really. It's more of a what I'm doing right now, Insider Ties version. Bunch of tweets yesterday, back and forth between a lot of people on Twitter, where we were talking about how influential sneakerheads really are. So I started working on this post. Are sneakerheads really influential? And I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to go over and look at some statistics because I think this is going to be a good episode for everybody to kind of get a grasp of what I'm attempting to do by saying, okay, sneakerheads are not this kind of monolithic group of kids that don't know anything about the business, that we are actually a group of people where when you start looking at the culture that kind of began with hip hop and Pumas and Fat Laces and Adidas, that we've been around for over 40 years now. And that generation, my generation of older sneakerheads, we have to do a better job of saying, hey, y'all young cats need to get a little bit more knowledgeable about this thing and realize that, you're not as influential as you think, but you are contributing a lot to the footwear market. So let's get into it. So yesterday there was a series of tweets. It sparked the question below, right? These questions that I wrote. Um, this is the first tweet. The shoes that are resold are very limited edition shoes. That's what drives resale. So resale can have no impact on the primary market. In other words, what they were talking about was sneakerheads and the resale market being very small. Um, Another person came in and said sneakerheads will never understand just how niche their world is, how small, how little the world is in regard to being a sneakerhead. All right. The next tweet: resale has virtually no impact on performance basketball shoe business. Resale is a tiny fraction of the U.S. sneaker market. Now, I had a huge issue with this one, and I was like, nah, that's not true. But I have to explain myself, and I have to present facts and data, and it's important for me to present that. So I hope you guys bear with me and keep going. I'm going to try to keep this at about 8 minutes. The next one was the ignorance of the community around this topic is pretty painful. All right, so this simple back and forth was stating that the sneakerhead community is not influential when you look at footwear as a whole. I agree with that statement. When tweet C, the ignorance dropped, I went into defense of sneakerheads, right? So I started responding, but then I was immediately undercut by a sneakerhead who stated that they get their source from only one place, and this one place has a name that involves one brand of a shoe. And immediately that undercuts the whole defense that I have of sneakerheads actually being smarter than they are. So what I went into was that the sneakerhead community does overlook facts and only rely on their platforms to inform their ideas. So I asked this question: do sneakerheads have any considerable influence on the footwear market, or are they just a niche segment with little sway on the market? And these are the answers that I got. Sneakerheads have zero pull. They're like rats next to a bear. They don't matter. Next answer: what sneakerhead keeps it going? I don't even think Jordan brand would be around without sneakerheads. Third one: definitely when it comes to future releases, because some shoes won't even be released the third time without sneakerheads. Last one: sneakerheads have no influence at all. They may be able to drive the price of certain shoes, but there are thousands of shoes out there that sell to people that are not considered sneakerheads. Now, those comments, they were good because these are people who I actually respect and consider sneakerheads. So that was a good thing. So I'm going to lay a foundation now. Now, I wrote it in this post, and I want you all to see this stuff, and I'm going to get to the statistics real soon. So I went directly to, who coined the phrase? Well, we can't figure out who coined the phrase sneakerhead, but I think Barbito Garcia, his book, Where'd You Get Those? He kind of laid the foundation for a discussion on how hip hop and the sneaker culture was influenced by hip hop, right? He said we were the first generation and only one to enjoy sneaker consumption on our own terms. Now that's important because now he's saying that the sneaker market is influenced by all of these different blogs and everything else. I wrote another question: how are they influential? And this is an answer: general release footwear, shoes bought for function and not style, shoes that parents buy because they can't afford other styles for kids, shoes that are worn in high fashion, and shoes that are worn in work situations are all influenced by sneakerheads. The $1 billion sneaker business wouldn't exist if hip hop hadn't shifted the style of dress. The trend of sneakers as daily wear didn't really start with Chuck Taylor, but started kind of with Chuck Taylor. And then Nike made it daily wear, but basically it was hip hop where, where sneakerheads have their foundation that created the current trend of billion-dollar footwear companies. Now that's my statement. So I also looked at the analysis of each of the comments above, and I explained certain things, but you have to go to the website and read those, because what I want to get to for you guys is an analysis of the facts of what Matt Powell of MPD Group, he stated, and he shared with people how the market has shifted from basketball wear and things like that to more casual and sneaker or running shoes. And this is what's important. I saw the shift firsthand. A year ago, and I'm going to get into the stats so we can see that, and then I'm going to end this and cut it short. And if you have questions, you got to ask them, because I got a lot of data here that I have to pull from, and I have to show you some things here. Okay, this is the inside of the dashboard of my sales chart. This is quarter 3 from 2016 over here on the left. All right, you see where my mouse is moving? This is quarter 3. So 353 units were sold, $57,000. Now, last year, 470 units were sold at the same time in quarter 3 for $73,000. So what you see here is literally a decrease of, you know what? I got a table view that'll show you straight up. A decrease of 22% on my own store. Now, my store is based on basketball sales primarily. Now, I sell some other things, but I saw a 22% decrease in revenue from quarter 3 of last year to quarter 3 of this year, which falls in line with the fact that basketball is not performing, and if sneakerheads really had influence, then they could really push those sales a little bit further. But let's dig a little deeper here, and you're going to see this is a sales report that shows you what I sold during quarter 3 of 2016. All right. I saw the shift. I had to move and shift with it, which means that I shifted to Adidas just like everybody else has. So out of all of these shoes in quarter 3 that made close to $60,000, when you look through this whole list, which I'm going really fast and you can't see, but I put it over here. In 2016, I sold 103 pair of Adidas. All right. In 2015, I only sold 55 pair. Now let's go look at that list. And you're going to see something really interesting that happens. At the beginning of the quarter, which was July, so last year, a year ago, I didn't sell very many Adidas. It's like one here, one there, one here. But when you get to the top, which is coming to the end in September, you can see the shift that happens right about here. Adidas Pure Boost. Adidas Pure Boost 2 pair, and then you're going to get up here in the middle and you're going to start seeing ZX Flux 2 pair, and there's going to be one big section in here that I actually passed because I was scrolling too fast so you couldn't see it. ZX Flux, tubular, 2. That's heavy. You need to understand that this was in 2015 in the third quarter last year. The shift was starting to happen right around here, and then in this year you'll see NMDs, and sprinkled all the way through. But 103 pair on that sales dashboard of, let's see, the selected date range. I'm going to actually switch this back to graph. And 103 pair out of 353 units of quarter 3 this year was 103 pair of Adidas. Now, that doesn't take into consideration when I go back over here that there are Under Armour in here and there are other styles. There's my own shoe brand in here. There are non-sneaker or like boots, winter boots that are in here because of the upcoming season. The shift has happened. So when we start looking at sneakerheads and how influential they are, I agree that they are influential, and I'm going to write my 5 signs of influence of sneakerheads, but there is definitely a shift. If you don't believe that the shift has occurred and that Nike needs to adjust a whole lot better, then you need to think about it. But you also need to be a lot more prepared in your discussions when you're a sneakerhead and you know, trying to present your information that we actually know what's going on with the sneaker and the footwear market. All right. That's it. I'm going to end this one. I know I probably went too long, but I'll see you guys tomorrow on Insider Ties. Peace.